We'll start with the roll call. I'm Lynn Kelly, the chair, present. Doug Mayo is here.
Here.
Virginia DeSorga is here. Bob Williford.
Here.
Here. Laura Jordan.
Here.
And our guests today are Pamela McBride.
Here.
And Lorene. I'm
Yes.
sorry.
I'm here.
Okay. Tell me how to pronounce your last name.
Flockersy.
Flockersy. Okay. Just didn't want to mispronounce it.
No, I understand.
Okay. So we're going to do the, just quickly, the approval of the minutes from August 12th. Were there any corrections, concerns? They looked pretty thorough to me. Yeah.
I make a motion to approve.
I second.
Okay. So approved.
Sure.
It has to go to a vote.
A vote. Yep. Lynn Kelly, yes. Doug?
Yes.
Doug Virginia DeSorga?
Yes.
Bob Williford?
Yes.
And Laura Jordan?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And the treasurer's report.
Okay. So we have the treasurer's report. Our year-to-date, this is on the handicap parking fund. At the beginning balance was $3,221.05. And we gained $200. Somebody must have parked in the incorrect spot. And our balance is now $3,421.05. And our other budget is our other available budget, this because it's a new year starting July 1, so whatever went back and came out, but I'm just making sure I say this correctly. Our available budget is $300, which is what we get every year.
Right. Okay. Thank you. So we have a guest here from the Human Rights Commission, Human Rights Committee, Lorene.
Yes.
Thank you.
Lynn, Lynn,
Yeah.
I think we need to vote on the treasurer's report
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we didn't have to.
to
Okay.
accept
Okay.
that. Yes, we do.
Sorry. All right.
That's
I make a
okay.
motion to accept the treasurer's report. Lynn Kelly.
Second.
Yes.
Doug Mayo, yes.
Virginia DeSorga, yes.
Bob Williford,
Yes.
and Laura.
Yes.
Okay. Back to Lorene.
Yes. So.
Would you like to tell us a little bit about the Human Rights Commission
Sure.
and some of the work you're doing right now?
Well, yes, I would. I've been on the commission for many years, and it's one of the boards or committees in town that it's very different than the others because most of the others. We're dealing with the rights of everyone. It doesn't just apply to a certain group of people. It applies to every citizen in Greenfield. And I feel good about that because I think it just covers everyone. And some of the issues that we have dealt with in the past, and also some of them are still present, dealing with homelessness for sure. We did quite a bit on that a few years ago, especially when the group was on the town common. We have also had the Center for New Americans send representatives in
Mhm.
to educate us really on what they do and how they help the immigrants get citizenship and acclimate into our community here. And they actually offer quite a bit, which I really did learn a lot from that. We at one point had the sheriff come in and he spoke about the, at that point it was, the federal government was giving us money to house some of the undocumented, and that's now changed. But he also spoke about the prison system and what they do to the, you know, with the inmates to try to respect their human rights also. And let's see, what else have we dealt with? We recently dealt with this thing that one of our commissioners called the nature gap, which is chatting about having recreational facilities available to everyone. And whether it be an economic issue or something else. But that's an ongoing discussion at this point. I think dealt with so much. Homelessness is certainly an ongoing issue. That just seems to be always something that is in every community, and it's like I said, that is ongoing. So just trying to think of other stuff that we've dealt with, which has been a lot. Anyone have any questions or thoughts? Maybe that'll jog my memory.
Well,
Go ahead.
if
Go
I
ahead,
may,
Doug.
Lynn, I was hoping and strongly suggesting, and it's no question, I'm a strong advocate for the homelessness, and you know, the town has recently been told that it's going to be getting $5.1 million in ARPA money, which is money that the federal government is giving us back, uh, mostly having dealt with COVID in circumstances. You know, overtime pay for the people who were giving shots, you know, all sorts of help. And the money, the one problem with this is it's at the discretion of the mayor. All the money, $5.1 million is at the discretion of the mayor. So if I strongly suggest that if people have suggestions that they for that money that they address it to the mayor, and I think it would $5.1 million is not in the grand scheme of things is not a lot, but it could start some things in Greenfield to start to address homelessness, and maybe we could interested people could email the mayor and say just that. We would like, because her first priority, I'll give you a good example. Her first priority on the list that she's been talking about is to revamp Court Square into making it a pedestrian instead of a traffic kind of a situation, a beautification kind of a project. And that, to me, that doesn't seem like it's a very good priority, especially when we have homeless people out there living in tents. I'd rather get the money to homeless people or set up a system that works for them rather than do beautification. Just my personal take on it, but I just thought I'd throw that out, that it's that there's not going to be a lot of people who have it is going to be open to the public for suggestions, but I don't think a date has been solidified yet. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you, Doug. I just wanted to touch base with Lorene and just give you a little feedback. And part of the initiation of having you come was our commission is really making an effort to reach out to different commissions so that we all know what is going on, and that there certainly can have a sense that there are times that our work will overlap. And just as an example, with the housing issue, we have a number of disability folks who have difficulty just finding an accessible apartment. It's a real problem. So they're kind of just one more layer of obstacles. So a big part for me was to just let you know we're here and look at times when maybe some of our projects or interests might overlap and be able to support one another.
I agree. Yes.
Yeah. Another one that, because I was reading through your notes and I was, my eyebrows went up at the nature gap, because we are working, with the recreation department. There are some issues that need to be addressed. Are you familiar with it's called the transition plan for
I am not, no.
Okay, so the transition plan is a plan. We hired a consultant who went throughout the whole city and basically looked at different kind of barriers for people with disabilities. And it's a pretty extensive plan. It will take place over 5 to 10 years. But there is a chunk of it that is recreation as well. So again, we may want to touch base with one another on something like that. Yeah. Playgrounds for children and ballparks and that kind of thing. Yeah.
I will, oh, go ahead.
No, fine.
Well, I will say that I worked for the ARC for 9 years. I was part-time. I was the self-advocacy advisor for their self-advocacy club. It was called the Pioneer Club. And we also dealt with a lot of those things with conferences and other events of dealing with making sure that something is, accessible. And actually, I was the human rights coordinator at the ARC too, to make sure people were getting access where they needed it. And if I could just touch on the homelessness thing for a while, I attended a conference, well, 2 of them, one in Boston and one in Holyoke, regarding homelessness in this area. And there really is a lot going on for Western Mass. Until I went to those conferences, I didn't know. There's so much available that people can access. Sometimes in Greenfield, we're sort of in this little bubble of Greenfield.
Yeah.
And we forget that there's other access availability also. But I will say that our community is so unique, and in our police department, I have no connections with them at all. So this is, just my own sort of thought, but they really were very helpful, and they're very helpful for the people who are seemingly disadvantaged, whether it be the homelessness or whatever. They go the extra mile to really make sure people are cared for. And I appreciate that piece in Greenfield, because it's our community.
Sure. Yeah.
Yes.
So the other thing, I know our colleague Bob Williford came to a couple meetings, and I think one of the things that we were interested in just touching base with you about was we're trying to develop our own CDA commission contact form how best to contact us.
Okay.
And that we just wanted to touch base with you because we realized that, one issue is contacting us and it'll become a public record, but also people have the right to contact the commission and not, not say who they are, have anonymity with their complaint. So we're just trying to work on that. And we were just wondering if that's something that you folks work with and how you work with that.
We've been working on an incident report form, an incident report form,
Mhm.
so that if there is an incident where somebody feels that their human rights have been violated, that they can submit that form.
Mhm.
I believe at this point it's with the mayor to have her approval before we can go move forward, because we're all appointed by the mayor's office. So that's in the works. And it is a tricky place because if people want to remain anonymous, but they bring you to an open meeting, what do we do with that? We've discussed that quite a bit also. Because and if, what I have found is if somebody brings an issue to the Human Rights Commission, if it's impacting one person, it's probably impacting a lot more. It could be more like, other people have had the same experience, but they just didn't come forward.
Right.
So if somebody comes through with something, they're probably in reality representing more people. But that is a sticking point for sure.
Mhm. Mhm.
Maybe that's why we don't have the approval yet from the mayor, because it is a sticking point. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I know in the past, before I was the chair, that, private individuals would just contact the chair and they would, that person would, follow up on that. And it might get referred to the Mass Office on Disability. So, and then if it's an architectural type of barrier, it can get referred to the Mass Architectural Board, which is kind of the enforcement piece of that. And then, of course, the Department of Justice, if there's been a violation. But we kind of see our role as educating people so that it doesn't move to that level. Yeah. Yeah. Doug, you wanted to?
I have a suggestion. I'm not sure. It's got to be easy to do because it works well. The DPW has something called a 311, and you can fill it out anonymously, and it basically you can tell what the issue is. It goes straight to in this case, it would be Marlowe, the director of the DPW. But he's very quick in responding. But I was wondering if there was something similar that we could set up for here. Is do like a 311 that any person who sees a problem or experiences a problem could use this system that's already in place in Greenfield, because the DPW has it in place already on their website, and it's a tool that I've used and it's worked great. And I was just thinking out loud that if it works so great in a busy place like the DPW, then it would most certainly come in handy with this group and the residents who may want to contact us on issues, whether it be questions or problems that they see. They can have a site to contact, probably Lynn. And basically, if she wanted to basically have one of us take care of it, or if there was a specialty area that others knew about, she could assign or delegate that problem to the contact person, or so I just think that's a good system to think about, or something like it.
Bob?
Doug, I think we still run into some problems of privacy, so I'm not quite sure how that works. I would like to ask Lorraine about the email address for your commission. How is that working out? Because we were having discussions about having a CDA email account, and our understanding from talking to Lindsay Rowe is that a lot of commissions in town would like to have that, but that an official email account costs a lot of money. So they were working on some sort of distribution list or something, so it would look like you were sending it to Disability Access Commission at greenfieldma.gov, but it would actually go to some not quite official address and would then go to Lynn Kelly as the chair, the mayor's office, and some others. Have they given you an idea of how your email address would happen, or has it happened yet?
Well, I believe they're still working on it. Last time I spoke with the mayor's office about this, it was with Keith, and he said they were still working on it. It's my understanding, though, that Keith is no longer working in the mayor's office.
Oh dear.
I know, he just was such a good resource person. I guess he ended his employment the end of the month, at the end of August. So I think the other contact person at this point would be Caitlin, which I haven't heard anything different about that. So my guess is she would be it. But we didn't get a full read on that. I know they were working on email addresses, and people didn't want their personal email addresses out there. They didn't want to establish a new personal email address just for, committee types of things. So it was my understanding it was going to be going to the mayor's office with a particular email address, but it hasn't been resolved yet.
See, that's another use for ARPA money. Other than using it for beautification, you could use it to establish communications between the departments and interdepartments to handle problems that come up. And if it's a money issue, it's there's we're $5.1 million coming to the city with and the mayor makes the decision on that, and it depends. If she hears, my guess is if she hears enough, there's already complaints and a petition going around for the Court Street issue, but the citizens are talking about their priorities, not the mayor's, and that's a good thing. They want to see money go towards the homeless. They want to see it go towards more porta potties that have to connected with the homelessness, and that's where I think it's important to do that and to communicate to have our own email could be used through that ARPA money as a suggestion.
Ginny and then Bob.
Thank you so much for coming today and being willing to collaborate with us.
Sure.
First off, I had a a couple of things to say. You brought up homelessness, and which is something I think is near and dear to the hearts of many of us that are here tonight. And I heard different people talking about funding. I don't know how interested you are in this, but I do know that on Monday evening, I just wanted to say this, our Ways and Means meeting, Monday evening, which is at 6 p.m., people are encouraged to come and state any input that they have for how that funding should be spent. And correct me if I'm wrong, but Councilor Mayo was also at our chairs meeting where that was very clearly stated. So I personally think housing is a very important issue. And would it, in your mind, wouldn't you say that our homeless probably have, I think it's probably a human right for them to be able to have a place to go to the bathroom. Would you agree with me?
Yeah.
On
Yes.
that? Because so I read the law, and it really, the whole intent of it is to make things more equal, so that those who have less do better. And so that we really have to look out in a special way for those who are more financially or socially at risk. So I think we really kind of have to push for that. And so I'm encouraging that. I also wanted to make one little announcement while you're here also, because you brought up housing. Last night at our Economic Development Committee, we had an outgoing counselor bring up what I thought, what the, not just myself, but the entire committee thought was a good idea. After the temporary fire station leaves the Hope Street parking lot, he suggested, this was Councilor Dolan, it's no secret, he suggested converting that area to a 12 to 20 unit handicap accessible, mixed use, and mixed income housing, where the electricity and water was already there. And I just said, he may ask to come before your commission at some point, because actually housing's a human right, And so I just wanted to put that, that was new information to me last night. And to say that, I'm a strong advocate of us spending that money on a couple of those Portland loos, which actually tie right into the sewer system. They are handicap accessible, and certainly we would have the money to do that.
Yeah.
But 6 o'clock on Monday, if you know anybody who's interested in coming, that's what Councilor Forgy said. So that's it. That's my little, but thank you so much. And do you get any complaints from, have you ever, and you don't have to say this if it would be improper, but do you ever have, if it would be improper to say this, but do you have any, have you ever had homeless come forward other than since the time on the common? Because I would think that would be a more marginalized group that would be less,
Well,
that would speak less.
Yeah, we did have people come before us, and that summer when the campers were there were meetings all summer long with Mary McClintock and her group. And I remember we met in the library, and the room was usually packed, and it was people from different agencies trying to work something out. And I will say that the Interfaith Council of Franklin County really stepped up. They opened up the church, they let people use the restrooms there. They are really an integral part of our community, all of what they do. So what we have, absolutely, we have had people come, before us, and we try to give them the resources that we can and that we have available. We've had the Salvation Army chief, captain, I guess he's called. he came in a number of times and spoke about what they do for homeless. And there's just really so much in our community. But when you're, when you're homeless and you're in a sense of economic distress, it's hard to feel as though you're part of a community too. You're just trying to get that one foot in front of the other and make it through the day. So, but our community really does have a lot going on. It doesn't solve all the problems. But yes, we have had homeless come before us.
Well, if
Okay.
we can help in any way, please say so, because it sounds like we have a lot of the same interests. I'll be silent now.
All right, it's Bob's turn.
No, I'm sorry. I've lost my question.
Oh, sorry. All right. Laura, did you have your hand up? No. Okay. All right. So the last thing, Lorene, was that I just wanted to say that I think someday COVID will wind down enough that we will all be able to get together and do things. And I just thought if at any time we might want to do something together. It's just kind of a fun thing to do some kind of community event. So
Yes,
just wanted
great.
to put that out. Yeah.
Sure. And I've always had this thought that I think we should take each commission in town or each board and put an educational piece in the paper about what we do.
Mm,
Because I don't know all of what, you folks do. And human rights is such a wide umbrella of things.
mm,
And other committees too, whether it be Ways and Means or whatever, you can somewhat identify with the title. But to know what they really do, I think would be important to have in the paper. And I've voiced that a number of times.
mhm,
But I would like to know what the other commissions do.
mhm.
So that's just a thought
Yeah.
that I thought I should throw out along those same lines as what you were
Yeah.
speaking.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you'll just keep in touch with us around, your progress on your contact forms and how that works out. Yeah, and we'll be happy to share how we manage that too. Yeah.
Okay, that sounds
Okay.
good.
Good.
Can I say one more?
Sure, Ginny.
So,
Yeah.
so just to follow up on what you said about knowing what others do, I think a lot of times perhaps we do some of the things that you do. We put out the fires in the waste paper baskets in front of us. In other words, someone will come forward with something that we see as a disability issue. And we try to help with that. And sometimes we ourselves will see an issue, as we did with, we saw that the housing on 53 Pleasant Street, a 6-unit facility was made that was not handicap accessible. And we did everything we could to get that, while it was being done, actually, into what it should have been. That sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But also we have a little bit of education programming that Lynn usually coordinates, so that we're all, and this is for Christian's benefit also, because he's joining us just newly, that we all take classes to be certified to look and see what buildings are supposed to be handicapped or accessible to all.
Mhm.
And we even work on using the correct language, which I didn't just do there. But we all misspeak at times, but I certainly do. But we have an education, something that comes so that we're able to look out and watch out for municipal buildings and regular buildings, so that everybody has access to all programs, not just buildings, but all programs that are in town, which sometimes, if there is any, and that's a human right also, if there is a program formerly, if there was a program at the theater, it was not accessible to all. And we worked, and they worked very hard also, the theater, on making sure that that was accessible to all. And so that's another little just sharing of some things that we do,
Sure.
just so you
No,
would know.
that's good to know. Good to know. Thank you.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of pushing by us to get that done. You know, it wasn't just him doing good for good's sake, and there was a piece of that, but the other part of it was, you know, he and his family who own it now basically needed a push and a reminder of how important it is to the community that everyone be allowed to use the theater, not just the walking people that could use the several stairs down into the theater.
Right.
Sure.
And I think as a group, we've said, although some of us I absolutely love the new design or not of Court Square, we have some concerns that everyone is not able to, because we get so many complaints about that everyone, it doesn't make it easier for many to access our City Hall. Although they've said that there are spaces in the back, we have concerns about the rights of those who have more difficulty breathing or walking, because it actually is further. And in the wintertime, that ice is over. And how does that saying go? Is it disability rights or human rights? I forget what the saying is because I have a 69-year-old brain, but they're the rights of everybody.
Mhm.
And so they can tell you that, but actually the number one impediment to people going into any building is ease of access. So that's something that we work on. Just so you know, I thought when you go
No, that's
away from this, I've been to Human Rights Commission meetings in the past, and I certainly admire the work that you do. And I admire the time that you would spend with us this afternoon. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me, for sure.
Yeah. Good. Well, we're gonna move along with the rest of the meeting.
Okay.
Welcome to stay or not, whatever works for you.
Okay. Okay. I think I will check off because I have lots of calls to make, but
Okay.
thank you. And thank you for inviting me. And this is very useful. And I'm sure we'll be in touch again.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank
All
you
right.
for coming.
Sure. You're welcome. Take care, everyone.
You too.
Thanks.
Lynn, I just wanted to state my presence. This is Lindsay.
Oh, you're back.
I
You're
logged in
here.
a little while ago, but I can't seem to make my video work. So I'm
Oh,
here if you all,
Okay.
just so you know.
Hi, Lindsay.
Hi, Lindsay.
All right. Well, yeah, just break in and let us know if you need to speak. Yeah. Okay. So just don't have a lot about the on building accessibility in the library. I did just want to say that I signed up for home delivery, and you know, people were very helpful. And I guess the other thing we talked about was the bank parking. Just wondered if there was any more news on that.
Not yet.
No,
Well-
oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm going to have Pamela go first and then Virginia. Okay.
To my, as far as I know, not yet. I know it is a work in progress. So
Mhm.
that is my understanding.
Okay. We just wanted to let you know, Pamela, that at the last meeting, if it works out, we approved money to spend on a sign to
Okay.
put in the parking lot. I think we allocated, I think it was about $500.
Okay.
That again, that's only if it all worked out, but
So
we were just trying to think ahead of time and have the money ready
Okay, all right.
if it
Thanks.
comes to fruition. All right. Ginny, you're
And
next.
Pamela, I apologize. First, I didn't know you were here, but thank you so much for joining us. I wasn't looking at the participant list, so thank you again. I just wanted to report that I had spoken, well, no, I had reached out twice to Tim Farrell, who's the head of the he's the head. They switched hands. Ed Berlin was in charge, and now Tim Farrell's in charge. Ed Berlin was in the planning stage, and then in this last part, it moved over to Tim Farrell. But actually, Ed Berlin reached out to me yesterday, and so while this meeting is going on at the exact same time, I believe he's down there. He is at the site of the library. I think he said at 1 o'clock today. I said, well, I certainly won't be there because we have another meeting at 1 o'clock. And I spoke with him about our idea of having, if the president of our bank was willing to give up not a handicap space, but just one space without changing the architecture or design of that space at all. One space that was adjacent to the back of the library. That was the sign that we were willing to pay for. So we had a discussion at length, and he promised to keep me updated, but he and the builders were meeting today. He is not sure how long the back part of the building will be open for, but he was fabulous to talk to. And Pamela, I know that you are too, because I've been in there when we were meeting, when we used to see people for real. And so I know that you'll be terrific to work with also. So thank you. That's my little update.
And I just wanted to say one quick thing about the ceremony last month for the groundbreaking of the library. I was very sad that I couldn't make it because it was pouring rain. But Bob and Doug, I think, both of you made it.
Yes.
So
Yep.
just wanted to say thanks for being there, because it really means a lot to us. This library is, we are really looking forward to it.
It does indeed.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I have to, there is one issue that we have to figure out. And this is something that I just found out being on another committee, the historical committee commission of Greenfield. And there appears to be, I hope the issue is resolved, but an issue has come up about the fire station being an historical landmark, and that there was a question as to whether or not we could even take it down. And at this late stage, that's something really surprising to find out. And I hope that there's a lot of communication going on between the commissions and the committees, between the building committees and planning committees, that I hope that it's resolved, and that Boston gets the paperwork that they need in order for this project to go forward. I'd hate to see any drawback in that situation, but I do hope it gets resolved.
Wow.
Okay. Well, all right. I'm just going to go on to the next, which is COVID-19 information. Does anybody have any updates from the Board of Health or Ginny?
I spoke to Nancy Bershoff
Mhm.
last week. Actually, just as a, well, no, I mean, I guess, how do you do anything just as a person? I mean, I called her because I'm on city council, really, but I don't think I was calling with just my personal opinion. I think that, you know, but I was wondering about the mask mandate because mandatory, because it's, the numbers are rising. They're actually higher now than when we had one. And I have been following the numbers, and we both agree that the numbers are going up. And well, you know me, I always put my foot in my mouth. So I'm just going to say, I bet we'll have a mask mandate after the fair. You know, I think that
After the super spreader.
you know what? That's being a little, maybe I shouldn't have said that, but as you well know, I generally say what I think or put my foot in my mouth. There were two large events, both of which were economically good for the municipality. And the Delta variant is spreading like wildfire. So that's my on the record, off the record report for what it's worth. I think that should be, and I know that different business, and I said this to Nancy, there are different business owners that would actually find that, that would find that easier, because it's hard to tell somebody it's a voluntary thing right now. And when I walk into Greenfield's Market, almost everyone is wearing a mask. And I don't think we all kind of get what that means. When you walk into a different store, it's probably 50-50. And, or I went into Big Y today, maybe it was 60-40, which is just about what the vaccination rate is too.
Right.
And so I think that it's an important issue to take up. And I'm sure that, and I won't put you on the spot, Pamela, because my style is to put my foot in my own mouth and not to make you do that. But no, I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair to an employee. I think we can be on the hook for things because we're either elected or appointed, but it must be hard being in the library. Yes.
Pamela,
Well, I mean, we, as a city department, people are now required to wear masks when they are in the building. And I will say, for the most part, it has not been an issue. There are some people that are somewhat resistant. What happens, I think, even more so, is that people have become relaxed, or because of the fact that it's not mandated, people will be like, oh, I forgot. But, you know, we just walk around with a box of masks and say, here you go, you forgot your mask. There's always exceptions, but for the most part, it has not been a problem since we reintroduced masks a few weeks ago. So
good to know.
I
Okay.
find that on a side note regarding COVID-19, I heard this on today's news is, and I'm not sure if it's nationally, but stores like CVS, Rite Aid, Walgreens had to throw away over 19 million vaccines because they were past their deadline. They couldn't use them. So that's astonishing, that waste of money and for people to get a shot for free that would help them and others do what they need to do in life. It just was, you know, for all the work that the federal government did to see that kind of waste was a horrible thing to hear. So that was my piece.
Yeah.
Just like Ginny, I speak my piece.
Ginny, you wanted to
I
say?
just want to piggyback on that, particularly when it's really a worldwide problem.
Mm.
That's the horrifying thing. When I hear that, and I didn't hear that. But when you look and I thought this is a worldwide pandemic, and there are countries where 1% of the population are vaccinated because they don't have the vaccine. So that, as somebody who volunteered giving vaccines, that makes my eyes water. How sad.
Yeah. And just before we close the on COVID, I think I mentioned this last time, but it just doesn't hurt to repeat it, that long haul COVID is now considered an ADA disability. So if for any reason you know anyone with long haul COVID, they are entitled to disability benefits.
Is that, Lynn, is that defined? What is long haul? Is that 3 months? Is that 5 months or 6 months? How is that defined?
I believe it's 3 months, 12 weeks. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And, you know, depending on what kind of disability you have from it, you know, they're going to look at the criteria of, you know, activities of daily living and that kind of thing. But
okay. Thank you.
But at least it's a an acceptable diagnosis. Yeah. Okay. So just an update on the street repairs, because I think Bob did a nice job last month on catching a lot of those. And I think one of the things that we've talked about is it's my understanding that Marlo in the DPW has a list of streets that that have been completed from the transition plan. Am I correct about that? I think that was a Lindsay question. I think I'm asking Lindsay.
Sure. I believe so. I'm not 100% on that. I haven't seen that list, but I believe there probably is a list or something similar.
Okay. Is there a way that we could ask him for that? Because I think Bob made a good recommendation in light of a lot of the money that's coming into the town, that it would probably be helpful for all of us on the commission to take a look at the transition plan and see what things have been completed and what things still remain at the top of the priority list, so we can bring those forward when we have some public input on these things.
It also validates our committee. So you know, to see things and to see them follow through, it means something to belong to this group, and how important it is, and the work that we do in behalf of the residents of Greenfield. It's good to see follow through, and
Sure.
Having that list is a good thing to have.
So because the transition plan is so comprehensive, I thought it would be helpful if each of us took different parts of it to take a look at, and you know, whatever parts you feel most comfortable with. I'm just giving it as an example that Bob seems to be excellent at street issues. um, I know some of the other issues were the schools, of things needing to be done with the schools. I'm just sort of talking off the top of my head now. Of course, the library was a big one. And then I know that one of the things we brought up, I remember, to Keith, was that there were not, very few departments had any kind of training, disability training. So, I mean, I'd be willing to sort of take that one and see where we were at with that. So this is my suggestion. If people would be willing to do that. I don't know exactly what the time frame is for the money coming in, but Ginny, do you know what that time frame is?
I do. I
Mhm.
do know what it is. So it's $5.135 million.
Mhm.
Half of it is already in,
Mhm.
and the other half comes in a year. The expenditure timeline is, I believe that we have 2 years from the time that all of the money comes in to spend it. So that's kind of an issue. I believe the guidelines for what you use it for are actually a lot easier than we're kind of led to believe. It's pretty inclusive in every part of the 154-page law. It keeps saying, or anything that's any but similar to this, just so you know. But kind of along this line, but not really. But before Pamela leaves, could I backtrack a second? Because I had my hand up, but I'm sorry to go out of order. But she might be having other things to do. I don't know what her schedule is. So
I'm here till 2:30. I blocked that time
thank you
off.
so much.
You're welcome.
I just was thinking about something that I didn't know, having served on this for 6 years, or however many years I've been on this. When everybody put their masks on, it was very difficult for us to hear each other. Now that I heard inside of the library, and I actually did know that in one part of my brain and forgot it in the other part, that we were all wearing masks inside of municipal buildings. But I found as the greeter at the town hall that there was a communication barrier because so many people, especially seniors, are hard of hearing. Now, I actually think the people in the library are some of the smartest people that I know. And I can say that from firsthand experience. So you probably have already thought of that. But Lynn got me something. She had a little sheet. I don't know if I still have it, on ways that made it a little bit more helpful to talk to people who were wearing masks. But you probably already are aware of all of that, Pamela. I just knew that was a real impediment to communicating back and forth. But you already found that, I'm sure.
Well, we also have plexiglass at all of our stations, so that, I mean, we do have a couple of our patrons who need to lip read because of their hearing problems. So you step back, you step behind the plexiglass, you take the mask off. And there are some times when you will do the same thing for people who are hard of hearing, and just, instead of completely shouting, I mean, we've all learned how to raise our voices. So it was kind of a curveball when we first had to encounter it when we reopened. But that's really one of the big ways that we're dealing with that right now.
Yeah, I can say, just for myself, I came in and between the mask and the plexiglass, I couldn't hear a thing about the instructions. So you know, we worked with it, and
Yes.
the person
that's-
was wonderful, but,
And that's part of the reason why at the information desk, we have put in that second monitor. So that helps, so that you can actually see what we're doing when we're helping you out with a tech question.
Yeah.
Without, because it's really hard to shout through that plexiglass.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay, and just FYI, I don't want to take credit for anything. It was Bob who found that little thing about hard of hearing and masks. So
My apologies, Bob Williford. I would always like to give credit where it's due. And I actually figured that the library had probably figured that out, but
yeah,
it really helped me. So I thought, well, while we're all here together, why not share that? So I'm sorry I got us off topic.
that's okay. That's okay. We'll get back on. All right, so I'm just going to circle back around to the transition plan and ask everyone to take a look at it and see what parts that you feel you would be comfortable doing. And it would really be a matter, once you identify, like, say, again, the example is DPW, you know, contact Marlo and just, you know, get a list of what's been completed. Or we already may know, but if you would just email me and let me know what part of the transition plan you would like to work on. Because I realized too, I mean, Bob made the suggestion, it was a great one, that's not something we've done anyway. So it would be good to keep a running total. Bob?
We actually have an item a little lower down in the agenda to talk about the Community Preservation Committee.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, that's a whole different bucket of money that we voted to do as a city, where this Community Preservation Committee looks where to spend some of this money we collect from the assessments on houses, properties. And they are required to spend 10% of it each year on recreation open spaces, 10% on historic preservation, 10% on housing. I think they have 5% they can use for administrative expenses. And the rest of it is kind of, I don't know, a wrist wrestle somewhere in a bar. I'm not sure. But I went to one of their last meetings, and where they were talking about it, I think they've only had 3 or 4 meetings so far. But Mark Maloney, who's the chair, was saying that he wants the people on his committee to look at all of the various master plans, downtown redo things, traffic calming, recreation plans, including the transition plan for accessibility.
Right.
And they were sort of giving assignments out there, and their recorder looked at me and said, "Oh, you want to look at the ADA plan, the transition plan?" And I said, "I'm sorry, I'm not here on your committee. I'm just here as a citizen." So there's not really anybody on their committee that is a specialist in what we do. So I think it's important that we look at it, because they're trying to find what the city has said in the past is something that needs to be done, and then weed out the stuff that did get done.
Yeah.
So for our transition plan to say, wow, this library that we've got is horrible and it's inaccessible, does not serve the population, it's going to take a while, but we have a solution to that, and it'll be done with a new library. So there's not a whole lot we can do in the interim, but we can sort of check it off. And that's in the transition plan. Sidewalks, we're always going to have problems with sidewalks, but you're right. We should be sort of monitoring things to say, I think part of the transition plan, or maybe I'm thinking of yet another plan, was looking at the curb cuts at intersections and saying, all right, we're racking and stacking them. These are the worst ones, and then these are not so bad. So somebody needs to be going around and saying, yeah, did that ever get finished?
Right.
And maybe
And-
maybe
and-
Marlo's the one we need to talk to say, show your work, show me what you've already done.
Yeah.
And we may do a little quality control to just go confirm it with boots on the ground. But yeah, it's good to know there's progress. I'm working on the 311 kind of a report on the area down by the swimming hole. They built a new bridge over the Green River, and they made a great sidewalk across where the bridge was to connect to the sidewalk that goes up to Elm Street. And then when you get across the bridge, there's a dismount panel. There's a curb cut.
Mhm.
It goes nowhere. It goes into the street.
Yeah.
And you can't even see. I have a picture I could show you. You can't even see where the entrance to the swimming hole or right across from it to the bicycle trail, which might be comfortable for somebody with a chair. I'm not sure. There's handicap parking there, and it's horrible too.
Right. Yeah.
But there's some things where the transition to a project didn't really happen. That it was not tied into the next step.
Right. Right.
So that's something we should be watching out for too, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And the curb cuts, or whether it's the street or the curb cuts, they do have numbers in terms of, the ones that are the worst that should have the highest priority.
Right.
And they should be numbered. So, yeah. Ginny, did you have your hand up?
While we were on this, I pulled up on our website the transition plan because I think if everybody wrote in, I just wanted to name a couple of items, if I may, if with your permission, because it's about how we actually would choose what we wanted to work on. Okay. I remember different things. I remember a very big thing that they came down with was that almost no departments within the entire community had developed a good had a whole plan for disability access and complaints and grievances and how to take care of that other than the school committee. And so, but there are so many pieces to this. I mean, I would think, and if you don't want me to do this right now, but for us to split it up, I think we'd have to kind of say there's public participation. And I certainly think that's a big item right now, because that goes probably for library board meetings and public participation in anything, public participation in municipal events, etc. There policy programs and meetings. There's city buildings and schools, of which I knew we weren't too bad, although we've made the town hall worse. That wasn't bad before. But then there were public rights of way and curb ramps, on-street parking, other rights of way, parks and recreation sites, city-owned parking lots, municipal buildings, park and conservation areas, parking lots, public rights of way. I am looking and thinking that the first part with it, talking about that it might not be the very first part where they're just the ADA standards. So I don't know if anybody else has that pulled up, but is that what you want us to split up, or do you want us to look at the entire thing? Screen share. Well, that's my idea of screen sharing, because I never know how to screen share. I even know lessons on it, as Pamela can attest to, and Lindsay. This is not my. All of you know, this is not my thing. But it's a little hard to split up to me until to what I was going to sign up for, till I knew, like, there's undue burden and program accessibility. I think it's more when it gets down to the brass tacks of like on page, it would be number 15 but I don't really know. And I don't know if anybody else knows how to screen share the table of contents, because that's my idea of screen sharing,
No.
which I know is really doesn't count. Oh, look, someone's doing it. Whoever you are, thank you.
I'm trying.
You get full credit
Lindsay,
for
I'm
this
trying.
trying, because I'm scared when I get to the 3 buttons on the bottom.
I'm scared.
That's the truth. I'm
No,
afraid.
I understand completely.
Okay, so see this? Like, okay, thank you. I'm sorry, I should be silent, probably. But I think we do the first part. Although I thought it kind of started at 15 with but I don't know that I'm right on that.
I think you might be. I'm going to look in my book. Hold on a minute.
Because I'll certainly volunteer for part of it. I just want to know. Oh, look, you even made it bigger. Oh my, she's showing off now. Lindsay, thank you. I'm making fun. But because I'd love to be able to do what you all know how to do. I was just asked yesterday by Ed Berlin about an on-street parking spot. And I said, oh, Ed, that's very nice of you to offer, but that doesn't work out too well, because then people would have to back out onto Main Street. He was fabulous to talk with.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, could I ask a question, please?
Sure.
So this screen share that we're looking at right now, is that information on the town website?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I was
It's
looking
under-
for my
it-
copy and I don't seem to have it.
It's on, it's on our site, the commission's site.
Okay.
But there is also, I have a hard copy and there is a hard copy in the library as
Okay.
well. But yes, Ginny, I think what I was referring to starts on page 15. And it has the different areas, whether it's a meeting place or departments, and it just says yes or no, whether you know, they are in compliance. They even have the police department and the fire department and
Right.
yeah. So, and on page 18, there's a section called major findings, and those are probably the most important ones, I think.
Right.
So that's what I was thinking of, that
Mm-hmm.
each of these is a category, and, you know, people could take a look at that. And then, of course, the streets are a section all of their own. Yeah. But there's city buildings and schools and, oh, and there was one on the city website, you know, that the city website was not in compliance in some ways.
Right, because the print needs to be, this was something I learned from going to one meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that you all probably knew, but that the print should be so big. And then just what we're looking at right now, the TTY, the TTY, well, that actually is what I meant, but they said once we go to hybrid meetings, which is what I've been pushing for, because then people from all walks of life, people with young children who couldn't leave their homes, people who are caregivers who couldn't leave their homes, people with a disability who it would be more convenient for them to do at home. Well, once we go to a hybrid meeting, we really ought to do it right. And I found this fascinating, absolutely fascinating, that, because I have a little ADD, so I'm not an auditory processor, but that it's so much better if you have the it closed captioned. That like I knew that just for myself, that I read better than I hear, but that's something for public meetings. And so that's something I'm kind of interested in. I just say that I'm kind of interested in that part. I'm going to say that out loud.
Okay.
Instead of writing an email. And maybe I bet Pamela might know something about that too, but I'd be happy to talk to Fernando or whatever, because I think this is the wave of the future, is that we're going to have meetings in this fashion, and then and that it really, it's like 60% of the people or something like that, their take on whatever it was got a lot better if you actually could read it. Who knew? I didn't know that.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, we'll take the transition plan if people will look at it, and just get back to me with what is of interest to them.
Thank you.
Okay. I just want to move along a little more quickly because we've got a couple of semi-big things. Bob had asked me about was there ever any business cards? And I rooted around in my bookcase and found cards that we had. I took a photo and sent one to Bob, but I can do that, and it also has a back to it. They would need to be, kind of redone, but, and Bob, you may want to just explain that kind of what triggered this, that you ran into somebody and it felt that if
Right,
you
yeah.
yeah.
I was at the senior center at a chair exercise class, and as we were walking in, there's a van with a wheelchair ramp, and I get in the building, and there is a person in a wheelchair with her assistant taking the class. And I thought, oh, I'd love to give them a card and say, tell me more about yourself. Here's what we do. If you know of anybody else that needs some advice beyond what you're doing, we exist. And I thought, well, I don't really have anything that giving somebody a scrap of paper that says, hi, my name's Bob, and I'm here to help you. It sounds like having a sash or a badge, that you could flash at somebody and say, hey, I'm with the ADA, man. But it is helpful, and it's something that somebody can take away and think about it and say, yeah, I do have a question that I'd like to ask about, or I do have a problem that I could use some help solving. So I thought, well, maybe we should, in addition to getting our commission email address, whatever that happens to turn out to be, we should have some cards.
Yeah.
That would not have our names on them, but would say CDA, Commission on Disability Access, the Greenfield seal, contact information. I don't know if there should be a reference to the ADA coordinator, because of course, Lindsay, I don't know if she has her own cards, maybe.
Lindsay, are
I
you
do.
still there?
Hang on. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Sorry. Ginny, you were saying that you were having trouble with technology. It took me like 5 minutes to figure out how to unmute while I was screen sharing, so I had to stop screen sharing. So don't worry. It's my generation as well. Anyway, I do have cards. I don't think they reference that I'm currently the ADA coordinator. I don't have a lot of opportunity in public right now to hand them out, but you know, I think as we move back out, it's an interesting idea, and I'll look at putting that on mine. I just get them, I print them sheet at a time. You know, at Staples, you can buy a pack of business card paper. We don't get them pre-printed.
Well,
think-
I have a whole box of them, but you know, whether the contact is appropriate. But I also realized that I had actually given these out in the past to a business or to a restaurant when we approached folks, you know, asking them to, you know, put a door thing in, or you know, an extra parking space. It was nice to be able to give the owners a card. So yeah, I have everyone's address, or I'll figure out how to scan it appropriately.
I like the idea of badges. That way I could say, we don't need no stinking badges.
Okay. Well, you can have a badge.
If
or not.
anybody has seen that movie, you know,
Yes.
that's it's a classic line.
Yeah. Okay.
Up against the wheelchair right now.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the last thing, we've kind of mentioned it a few times as well, but under the Community Preservation Committee and the Downtown Rapid Recovery Program, I had listed porta potties, the town hall access, but also brought to my attention by Bob and Lindsay is downtown in Northampton, they have a wheelchair charging station. So someone in an electric chair can pull in, charge their chair for 20 minutes and carry on with it. And, you know, I see a lot of electric chairs around town. So I would really love to put that on the list.
Yes, definitely belongs there.
You know, if it doesn't make the downtown, I'm going to say downtown money, you know, I would love to see what it would cost to do from our handicap fund, because I just think that would be something that would be really good. I couldn't tell from the picture of the one in Northampton, Lindsay, I don't know if you've seen it. Is it outside the building? Or, because it said it was at the town hall.
It is outside the building, and it doesn't really have a weather protected space, I would say.
Yeah.
So that might be, someone suggested, I know at one point, putting it at the parking garage, perhaps.
Uh-huh.
Our parking garage, maybe not, because it's the bottom of a hill, but I guess their parking garage is downhill as well. So
Right.
yeah,
you know, the problem, obviously the town hall isn't open all the time. Yeah, I was wondering about that because it looked like it was outside, and I thought, well, if it's raining, you're not going to sit out there and charge your chair. Anyway, Ginny,
I just looked it up. Google, the wheelchair charging stations can cost anywhere from $500 to $10,000.
Oh,
Okay, so we
Okay.
have 3,000 something in ours.
okay.
We can ask for a match from ARPA
Okay.
about that, or for them to fill in the rest.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Actually, not a match. They could fill in the rest. In my humble opinion.
They can do the whole thing as far as I'm concerned. 5.1 million, they can afford to do the whole thing.
Yeah, I'm with you, Councilor Mayo.
I don't know, that money's gonna go pretty quick, I got a feeling.
No, I mean, honestly, if you spent it right,
Yeah,
Yeah, it could go a long ways.
I think
yeah,
it could go a long way. Broadband could be completed. We could have two. Well, you know what I think.
hmm,
I'll be shut my mouth.
okay.
Ah,
All right, well, I really want to thank Bob for bringing that to my attention, because that's a great one. I guess I'm personally invested, but I
Monday
really
night, 6:00. Come
Okay.
speak your wishes.
I'll be there. And then the last one under the recovery program or the preservation committee was the porta potty. Is it called Portland porta potties?
Portland Lou.
the Portland Lou.
Portland Lou. Okay.
They are fabulous. They're tied into the sewer system. They're handicap accessible, graffiti proof. Jennifer Hoffman has given the estimate to the city council, at least to Ways and Means. Or I think it went to all of us. Matt went to me, and if I didn't share it, well, just forgive me. $180,000 a piece. We could use a couple.
Yeah.
But they're nice bathrooms. Then we don't have to worry about our wonderful DPW department
Mhm.
needing to go in hazmat suits, which they probably should be in currently, because it's tied into the sewer system. But many nice cities have these. Start in Portland, Oregon, but they're certainly not the only place that has them. But this is not like a porta potty that can be knocked over, needs to be emptied. Obviously, here we need a lot of trash barrels by hours, and this is not going away, and this is just what it's supposed to be used for: the marginalized.
Yeah.
Many with substance abuse problems. There need to be needle boxes on the inside and the outside, or whatever it is. But the Portland Loos themselves, 180,000 installed.
At the very least, we need one. You know, where the needles are the most is, I don't know if people read the newspaper, but just as an aside, there was in one newspaper there was 10 needle pickups, and I found that astounding. In like 4 or 5 days across the town, no matter where it was, at Energy Park or Chapman Street or Wells Street or in some of the other parks. It was, you know, every other police report was found a hypodermic needle.
Right, and we have a locked bathroom at Energy Park. So there you go. And I get the reason behind it, but still, it's not okay.
Bob, you wanted to say something?
I just wanted to make the point, and I think maybe I'm sounding like Jennifer Hoffman, I don't know, but tying the location of the bathrooms to where people use drugs is probably not the best idea. We need to tie the location of the bathrooms to where people might need to pee or poop, which would be places where people congregate, like the Commons, maybe Energy Park, any of the other parks that you could tie into the sewer system, places where there are concerts and things. And I would add that, yes, there's an expense to buying a Portland Loo, but isn't there an expense to renting a whole bunch of mobile toilets?
Right.
Yeah.
Not anywhere near that cost of a Portland Loo.
Getting them destroyed. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I think there's a liability issue there also. If we have someone who's emptying that stuck by a needle or whatever, I thought, you know, there's no price that you can put on things like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Can I ask a quick question? Because the last time I heard about this Portland Loo idea, someone said there was an issue with freezing temperatures. Has that been resolved? Because Portland doesn't have freezing weather.
Portland, Oregon?
Yeah.
They actually have, yes. I read the whole thing on the Portland Loo. Some of them are solar, whatever, at the top of them. But I am not a mechanical person. I can't even tell you what the parts of houses are, like where fascia or fascia is. But anyways, they thought of that. That's all I'll say. They thought of it. They were little diagrams and everything on it. You can look it up. I can send it to you, Lindsay, but I'll send it to you. But yeah, it's in places where it's possible to do. They have outdoor bathrooms in, I don't know, Pennsylvania, where my daughter is, and I thought it can happen.
I saw it in France a lot.
Yeah. So I'll send you what Jennifer Hoffman sent me. I have to just remember to do that. I'll try to do it now so I don't forget.
Thanks.
Okay. Are there any announcements? Anything people need to know? Anything? No? Okay.
I think I sent everybody a copy of the information about the 3 p.m. meeting today, the FRTA
Yeah.
council committee, whatever they are. The discussion items are going to include the bus stations and also updates to the access program. So I don't know what that means exactly, but I'll be there. So I'll let you know.
Thank you.
Bob.
Okay. Can't get enough of these meetings, huh?
Oh, and then I'm going to another at 6.
Oh, God.
I'm
All
hosting that one, so I'm not gonna. I think you might be going to what I'm going to.
Yep.
I won't be. I won't be at the 3 o'clock, but thank you for going to that.
Sure.
Okay, so our next meeting is going to be October 14th. And if there's nothing else, I'm going to adjourn the meeting. I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second to Sorga.
Second,
I'm in favor.
I'm in favor.
Aye.
I'm in favor.
Okay.
Okay, and thank you, Christian and Lindsay and Pamela, whoever else was here. Thanks a lot for your time.